Today, I'm going to play Mono Black Aggro on the best of one ladder in the new Edge of Eternities meta. If you watched my last video where I played Boros Burn, you will know just how powerful this Mono Black Aggro deck is. When I went up against it, the deck kind of mopped the floor with me. So, of course, I had to try it out. And I think this is a deck that most people have had their eyes on since the Edge of Eternities spoilers have been live. There are a lot of new cards to this deck, and I think overall it is very powerful. Now, this shell is pretty basic, just playing 4 copies of all the cards that you want to be seeing in this deck. Nothing too fancy. I'm sure there could be some tweaking made in the future, but for now, I think the shell is pretty solid until we all get a little bit of a better grasp of how the deck plays and what is necessary in the deck. So quickly, I'm going to run over all of the cards, talk about the highlights, and then we'll jump into some games. So I guess let's start with the new cards. We'll start with the one that is probably the reason to be playing this deck, and it is the Timeline Culler, a black Drix Warlock 2/2 haste creature. This thing is absolutely insane. The more I've played this card, the more I've come to love it. It is just ludicrous. I can't believe they printed this card, and it's an uncommon, so that's very nice. The key to this card is that it has haste, and it also has Warp 1, Pay 2 life. So you have this on turn 1, you play it out, it attacks in for 2 damage, and then on the following turn, you can do it again. But the big thing is, it's got more. You can cast it for its warp ability from the graveyard. So unless your opponent is exiling this card, this thing is just going to stick around. It's going to be a thorn in your opponent's side. Now, mind you, it is only a 2/2, but it's going to be activating our void mechanics, and it's going to be constantly chipping in for damage. This card, if you face it on the ladder, you know it's good. The other new card from the Edge of Eternity set is the Sunset Saboteur, another 2 CMC card, but this time a little bit of a different stat line. It is a 4/1. It does have Menace, and it has Ward, discard a card. That's a pretty big ward cost, and I think a lot of people are not going to want to pay it. Now, it does have a bunch of upside, but it also has a bit of a downside, and the downside is whenever this creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and opponent controls. So we are going to be buffing up our opponent's creatures. Because that's the case, we are also playing some removal in this deck. And one more new card that is going to be a bit of a removal is Archenemy's Charm. This card, 3 black, it is an instant speed card, but we get to choose one of 3 modes. And all of the modes are pretty good. The one that we're probably going to be interested in the most is the first one, exile target creature or planeswalker. So 3 CMC, 3 black, whatever it is. Mana to exile a creature. If we're buffing up our opponent's creature, we need to get around it. Well, we can use the charm. Additionally, it says return 1 or 2 target creatures and or planeswalker cards. We only care about creatures from your graveyard to your hand. So if we're behind on cards or in the game, well, we can play this out as a top deck, return a couple of good cards to our hand, and go from there. Returning Sunset Saboteur, Sinkhole Surveyor to our hand, all of these would be really nice. And then the last one, the mode that actually blew me out when I was playing the Boros deck is put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, and it gains lifelink until the end of turn. Oh, lifelink. If you're playing Burn, lifelink is the bane of your existence. So the Archenemy's Charm, a pretty good card. For more removal, we're playing 4 copies of Shoot the Sheriff, and we're also playing 4 copies of Tragic Trajectory, a 1 CMC sorcery spell, another new one from Edge of Eternities. It says target creature gets -2/-2 until the end of turn. However, it has a void mechanic, so void is going to trigger if any non-land permanent has left the battlefield or if a spell was warped. If we warp in our Timeline Color, this is going to be doing -10/-10. Or if something else gets removed, something through combat, whatever have you, this is going to be basically removing everything in the format. And then the other cards that are in the deck are a bunch of creatures that have existed in the format for some time. We have the Sinkhole Surveyor, which can either endure 1 to put a +1/+1 counter on the Bird Scout, or we can create a 1/1 White Spirit creature token if we want to go wide. We also have 4 copies of Dark Confidant. This is going to be our draw engine for the deck. We're very low to the ground. We only have one card that is 3 CMC, so we are not going to be taking too much damage from Dark Confidant's ability. We are playing 4 copies of Cecil. Now, Cecil can end up doing a lot of damage to ourselves, but if we end up flipping it into the Redeemed Paladin, it gains lifelink and other attacking creatures gain indestructible. It's going to be a pretty big upside if we can end up flipping Cecil into the Paladin. Forsaken Miner is probably another card that you've seen a lot of on the ladder. This thing is insane. It can't block. It's a 2/2 for 1 though. And then it says, whenever you commit a crime. And what is a crime? Well, a crime says targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyard is a crime. So anytime we use Tragic Trajectory, or we use Shoot the Sheriff, or our charm over here, or Sunset Saboteur, we are going to be able to bring the Forsaken Miner back onto the battlefield for just 1 black mana. And the last card in the deck is the Gas Guzzler. This beautiful piece of art is a vampire rogue. It has Start Your Engines, which hasn't really come up in any of my games, but it might if you play this deck enough. If you do hit max speed, you can pay 1, sacrifice another creature, which we have really good cards to sacrifice. For example, the Miner or the Culler. Well, you can sacrifice them and draw a card. It could be a good upside. Otherwise, it is just a 2/1 for 1. Pretty good rate overall. So that is the aggro black deck. I've been having quite a bit of success with it so far while playing it on the best of 1 ladder. I think it's a lot of fun. And we'll jump into some games and see how they end up going. So, see you over there. Okie dokie, game number 1 with the Mono Black Aggro deck. Let's see how it goes. Before we get into the game, as usual, I forgot to do it in the last video, but this time reminding everybody that, well, saying thank you. The subscribers have been going up. We had a really good boost last week where 40 or 50 new subscribers kind of came out of nowhere. So I was really appreciative of that. Things have definitely slowed down a little bit. I think because I was not on the Edge of Eternities preview team, which, you know, that is what it is. Maybe in the future, one day, I'll be able to preview some cards, and that'll, you know, put me in a position where I can get out on the forefront of new cards that are coming out and gain a little bit of traction that way. What are we going to do about this Umbral Caller Zealot? I was kind of hoping they were going to block so I could put the +1/+1 counters on the Forsaken Miner and deal with it that way. Let's just put out the Saboteur. I'm not too worried. And then next turn, if we draw a land, we can do Shoot the Sheriff plus Timeline Color. We'll see how that goes. We are against an Aristocrats deck, so they can end up doing a lot of damage if we are not careful. I could just block with the Saboteur to get rid of their sacrifice outlet. I kind of don't hate that. I'm a little bit afraid of them being able to sacrifice a whole bunch of stuff, especially having 2 of these Blood Witches on the field. Sure, they drain us a little bit here, but not a big deal. Wow. So, again, thank you. We're very, very close to reaching 500. If you can continue to help me with the subscribers and all that. I got distracted. I always get distracted. It is a thing. But yeah, I really want to keep reaching. And let me know how your experience has been going with Edge of Eternities. What do we want to kill? Oh my god, the opponent just has a whole bunch of threats. And we're sitting here with cards that are not necessarily efficient against the opponent. But they are down to 2 cards in hand. They're attacking for 2. They don't get any triggers from the Blood Witches there. So that's good news. Finally drawing the land. That's what I wanted to see. I guess I could have played out the color for its warp cost earlier if I wanted to. In fact, I could do it for warp now and hold up the Archmage's Charm, Archenemy's Charm, or I just hold up Shoot the Sheriff and save the life. I think this is fine. Probably this is okay. So attack in for 4, get them down to 12, and go from there. Additionally, love to know what decks have been working for you in this new meta. I guess it is brand new. People don't have a whole lot of experience with it. I'm certain of that, but well, we'll be killing old Sephi here. That's super fine. That's cool. That's a ton of damage. Very scared of the Sephiroth decks, to be perfectly honest. Okay. So, a little bit more life gain for the opponent there, up to 16, and we're down to 10, so that sucks. But we kind of just got to keep pounding away. I guess this turn is going to be Gas Guzzler into the Charm on the Blood Witch. The Blood Witch needs to be exiled, so they stop gaining life. and then hopefully they stumble just ever so slightly. Yeah, I'd rather not take damage, and I think I'm going to be exiling the Blood Witch. It's just too powerful to have their pingers on the board. Wow. I kind of don't want to. I don't want to lose my Gas Guzzler. Actually, I think the Gas Guzzler is maybe a little bit important. In the intro, I said that the max speed might not come up all that often, but now I'm kind of looking at it thinking, it could be a huge thing. That's interesting that they would do that. I can actually return the miner back to the field with the Arch Enemy's Charm. So I'm not going to use my mana yet. I'm going to hold off, maybe target something next turn with this. Let's see what they play out. If they have like a Sephiroth here, and they just throw in the towel. Probably we would have Archmage's Charm, the whatever they have on the field, this thing, the Sage, would have brought back the Miner and had a pretty good swing at them. So I guess they kind of flooded out. We got lucky on that. But yeah, game 1 going well. Cool. Okay, game number 2. Man, there are so many cool cards that I want to try out. I think I like rotation. New sets that come out are good and all, but it's really rotation that mixes things up just enough that it pushes you into exploring some different things. Finally get to play Cecil. This is a card that I've been itching to play since Final Fantasy came out and just never really got around to throwing it into a deck. Looks like the opponent might also be on Mono Black, so we might have ourselves a bit of a mirror here. They're considering removing it. Maybe they're going to shoot poor Cecil. Nope. Instead, an Umbral Culler Zealot. A very good card. We could trajectory it. I think that's probably fine. Throw out the Miner after this, and then attack in with the Cecil. Start getting their life total down ever so slightly. Our life total as well. I think you could have made the argument to maybe hold the Tragic Trajectory, not use it on the Zealot, but I have 2 other removal spells in hand. They are also playing some of the fancy lands. This deck, all swamps in my case. 20 swamps, a very greedy mana base, by the way. But they have the Void Altar over there. Now, the Timeline Culler, very cool card, but I'm going to be exiling it. We can't have this thing. This thing just... If you don't exile it, it's just so annoying. It's always going to be biting at your ankles. You just can't get rid of that silly card. And I love it. It's usually I'm not a black player, but I've been singing the praises of the Timeline Culler. I think it is just... Obviously, it's fantastic. Who am I saying? I'm not... It's no hot take to say that this awesome new black card is amazing. Also... It's cool to see this card being played. I remember playing this just a few times on my own. I never made a video about the Cage deck, Collector's Cage, but the Sinkhole Surveyor was in an Orzhov version of the Cage deck that I was playing, and yeah, it's a cool card. Glad to see it being played in this deck. Now, the opponent passed. I have to assume that they're going to have some kind of removal for the Cecil, so there's a good chance that maybe they let the Cecil hit them for 2, take a little bit of damage, and then they're thinking about shooting it. Or, oh, they're going to charm it. Charming the Forsaken Miner is pretty good. Okay. What do we have in our graveyard? No creatures, so we can't really use the charm to return things yet. Still, we'll get the Surveyor onto the field, and the Surveyor might start going wide, I think, with 1/1s. Depends on what the opponent ends up playing out. They still have 4 cards. My computer is chugging along. I don't know. Might have to do a quick little restart after this game. Sephiroth. Well, we are going to get a flipped Cecil. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, well... Huh. I've got to kill the Sephiroth, but it's just tapped. Okay, so we now have a 4/4 Cecil Redeemed Paladin. That is pretty neat. I think I'm just going to slow roll the Arch Enemy's Charm. I'm going to keep calling this Archmage's Charm because of the blue one. small smooth brain situation here. Likely they have removal for it. Still, it's a thing. Okay, Sephiroth attacking. Nothing to sacrifice. So do I want to... Well... Okay. We'll just do this and assume they have something. But at least saves the damage. We don't need to act so hastily. Do I put... Do I put the lifelink on Cecil? Do I give him +2/+2 and just cancel out theirs? Is that way too greedy, or do I just remove... I think I just remove their Sephiroth. I think it's fine to do it this way. I don't know what that last mana is there, and yeah, it's just safer. There they have the tragic trajectory, so no matter what, our Cecil was going to die. We find ourselves a tragic trajectory. I don't know if I want... You know what, I think I might start putting a few counters on the Surveyor. I'm not really sure what the best play here is with these two. Going wide might be good, because I don't think they're going to have a lot of creatures, and we have the trajectory to remove maybe one. But if they end up having a Cecil or something like that, I want to be able to... Ouch. Have a little bit of... Not Cecil. If they have Sephiroth, I want to be able to go up in the sky. Okay. So we're down to 5. They're down to 5 as well. 1 mana open. Huh. I really need a warp creature. Hitting my own Zealot here, or not Zealot, Timeline Culler would be absolutely fantastic. We need to get rid of the Sephiroth. Okay. But we hit a Dark Confidant. So we can take the opponent down to 1 life, but then lots and lots of problems here. They're not going to be able to activate this. They can't. They only have 1 card left in hand, but we have... You know what? I'm going to hold back a blocker. I'm too worried about the damage that I'm taking from the Surveyor. I don't know if I can even play out the Dark Confidant. Like, the Dark Confidant... Okay, I've played 2 Charms, so I have 2 more in deck. There's a chance that I ping myself down. I kind of need blockers, though. So maybe this just ends up being fodder for Sephiroth. And hopefully they don't... They might ping me just enough that the Dark Confidant might kill me, though. I'm a little bit worried. You know what? I also misplayed that. I probably should have attacked in with the 1/1. Bringing them down to 2 life made it impossible for them to play out the color. Okay, they're playing this. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. Okay. Did the opponent... Okay. What am I missing? What am I missing here? We got him. Whoa. I'll be honest, I scared myself for a second there with that 1 point of damage from the Surveyor. Oh my god. What a tight game. Oh. Inexperience maybe showing through on that one. Not having a lot of experience playing black and that fine line dance with your life total, keeping it there. But I think, in the end, I think the line that I ended up playing worked out perfectly. I still think not attacking with the Spirit to bring them down to 2 life was probably a pretty big mistake in the end, because I wanted to prevent them from playing out their Timeline Color. I should not have allowed them to do that. And then them playing out the Super Void as the only thing that they had available to them was maybe lucky on our end, because we had the 1/1 Spirits to be able to sacrifice. Ooh, I want to kind of rewatch that one and see how it actually ended up playing out. But it's a win. Cool. This Mono Black deck, I can really see it being one of those decks that people craft to grind the upcoming ladder. I guess ladder reset will be coming pretty soon. I think I'll probably have this video out pretty quickly. I think what I'm going to do is probably try to get a video out every day for the next 4 days, and then go back to my 2 or 3 day rotation of a video. I don't want to make too many videos. However, with the new set release, there are a ton of things that I want to make content about, a lot of decks that I want to try out. And because of that, well, why not make videos? And I do have the time, as I am on the cusp of my vacation, the end of it, I guess I should say. The end cusp, is that? Whatever. The opponent, Legendre, however you would say it. Legendre, we'll call him that. But yeah, I'm going to be putting out probably a video a day for the next 4 days, exploring some new stuff, and the reset should be coming within a day or two. For me, it's going to be coming, actually I'm not sure if it's tomorrow morning from now. But I think this Mono Black deck could be one of those decks that you could see a lot of people using to climb the ladder. Conversely, the deck that my opponent's playing, the Sephiroth Sacrifice deck, also going to be pretty good. Maybe I shouldn't have... whatever, let's attack him with the Guzzler. I don't like trading the Guzzler for the Sage, but I feel like it might have been the only thing that I could do. Give them a 1/1 flyer. I feel like I should have attacked with the Guzzler before putting out the Dark Confidant. It is what it is. Hopefully the Confidant doesn't die. I need it to stick around because we need to draw some cards. But it's going to die. Eaten alive! Okay. Well, that could have gone a lot worse than it did, so I'm not too upset about that. Let's put out the Saboteur. It has Menace, so if they play out just one thing next turn, I'll be able to get around it. And then we'll get out with the Culler for haste. Why not at the cost of 2 life? I think it's fine. We're also getting our max speed up just in case we find another Gas Guzzler. If you do end up crafting this deck, from my experience so far with it, I would say that the Gas Guzzler is a rare card that you probably don't really need to craft. Ooh. All right, so now we're in a bad position. I don't really know if I want to be pumping up this Sephiroth. I can attack in with the Sunset Saboteur, but it's going to go up to a 4/4. All right. Whatever, let's find out how bad this can be. I'm going to put out the Culler as a blocker for Sephiroth. I think the Culler is actually a pretty good blocker, although warping it in later on is going to cost us 2 life. It's still something. It can be stopping, 2 life to stop 4 life is a thing. That makes sense to me, I think. Eaten alive. Not a card I knew was in the format. I love the art on it, though. Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to keep attacking in, pumping up their Sephiroth. I think it's fine. I'm going to create a 1/1 here because that's going to be great fodder for the Super Void. I'm not overly afraid of the Super Void, and I don't think they're playing any kind of board wipes. So you know what? Let's just go out with a super wide board. Our boy here getting stronger every minute. Kind of terrified of that. I should read the backside. I never do this. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth One-Winged Angel, you get an emblem with whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Okay. Whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. So Sephiroth flipping over is going to be pretty devastating. However, they need a lot of creatures, and they don't have a lot of creatures. It seems like the opponent is maybe struggling not finding, other cards like Infestation Sage that they need to pump up our boy. So Seppi attacks in. I could put Cecil in front of it. I could also just take 5 damage. Do I care? I don't think I care. They have 4 mana. We'll see what they can do. But if they have to build a pretty wide board to stop what I have on the field right now. And our Cecil is now in flipping range. Okay, return 2 target creature cards to the battlefield. So, let's say we attack in. We had lethal. They... What happened there? What happened? Let me see the board. Please let me see the board. So they had Lively Dirge. Search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. Or return up to 2 target creature cards with total mana 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't like that card. I think it's a pretty weak card. So if we would have attacked with everything, they would have blocked here. So we would have gotten in for 11 damage, right? If I would pump up the Sinkhole, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. And that's the game. Wow. I don't know what happened with the other cards in my opponent's hand, but looks like they drew the kind of top end of their deck, or at least not the creature end, so lucky for us. Going on a bit of a tear with this deck. 3 and 3 right now, right? Shouldn't jinx it, but I'm going to. Don't have any 1-drops here, but we have the Dark Confidant, I think, can hide behind that, and we are up against, I was going to say Tifa. Whatever. It could be still the Tifa deck. And I'm going to say Tifa. I'm sorry. Oh, this card. Oh my god, I love this card. So, the Might, whenever it taps, it gives its power to another creature. I wish they would have attacked with the Llanowar Elf here. Oh, they got double! So I went up against an opponent that pumped their Might, and it really gets out of control fast. And if that's the case, I think I'm going to hold on to the Shoot the Sheriff, try to blank one of their pump spells, if that's what the opponent is going after. It kind of just looks like, okay, let's resolve that one. And then let's shoot this one. So it doesn't get pumped. It gets pumped. Oh, it still gets pumped for 2? Whenever this creature becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X until the end of turn, where X is the creature's power. Am I misunderstanding how that card should work, or do we disagree that it got pumped there? My magic instincts are telling me that it should not have gotten the pump from the dead one, unless I'm misunderstanding how the targeting went. But yeah, weird. So same thing here, just for science. Well, I'm gonna allow this through, actually. I don't mind taking a little bit of damage because I'm afraid of what their 4-drop is. They don't have a 4-drop? Wow. I don't like using the charm on that, but maybe I have to, and I guess we may as well also tragically trajectory this thing. Tragically traject it. Babble, babble, babble. They have 3 cards in hand. There's no way they're holding all lands unless they are playing something else massive. Another Might. So they drew 3 Mights and 2 Llanowar Elves in their opening 12. Interesting. Okay, we take 1 point of damage there. We find a Cecil. The Cecil's going to be pretty massive here. Do I want to attack in with the Dark Knight? Yeah, I'm going to go in with the Confidant. If they end up trading with the Might, that's good. They're down to 1 card. Didn't think they would. Let's live on the edge and put out a second Dark Confidant. So we're drawing 2 cards, extra cards a turn, but things might get a little sketchy. Definitely blocking with the Dark Confidant now. I love what the opponent's doing, actually. This Imodane's Recruiter, one of my favorite cards. So we'll block there. We'll block here. And flip the Cecil, take 5 damage, and hopefully not die from the second Dark Confidant. Okay. Hopefully not die from the second Dark, or the other Dark Confidant. That's not fun. That's not a fun way to end the game, opponent. You didn't even give my Dark Confidant a chance to draw an Archmage's Charm to blow me up. That one hurts. That hurts. The opponent just kind of had it. The perfect last card. Okay, I love it. What they were doing was super cool. I think this card has a lot of potential just to have a lot of fun with, and I might end up doing some theory crafting of my own with it instead of just net decking everything. Well, I got put in my place by a fling deck, a Gruul Fling. It is what it is. Okay, we're playing first. We have our Cecil. Come on, Cecil. Prove yourself to be worthy. I was talking to a friend earlier today, and he said, Cecil, I love that card. Every time I see it played, I know I'm going to win the game. And I get it. Cecil Cecil is a questionable card, but I do like playing it. Okay, we are against frogs. We're we're against the frog deck. Alright, definitely our opponent. Maybe having some mana problems with their rabbit deck and having to put that out on frog. Okay, if they attack in, I was going to say I'm blocking 100% of the time there. We find some Forsaken Miners. Ooh. Cecil's really good to hold back as a blocker here, but I think I'll challenge... There's no way they put the Quest Caller in front of it, right? No. I mean, why would they? Nobody's blocking there, right? What am I even thinking that the opponent's going to block in that situation? I'm going to put out the Timeline Culler as my favorite new blocker of scary frogs and rabbits. This is actually the first time I've gone up against the rabbits deck since rotation happened. I guess it is definitely like a #1 deck, but maybe people just decided to move away a little bit from it while they're experimenting with some other stuff. But yeah, this is the first time seeing the old Valley Might Caller in about a week. You have to imagine that this deck is going to be all over the ladder too again. When rotation happens, it's got to be a ton of rabbits. It's going to be a ton of landfall. Landfall still seems very powerful. And the opponent getting in with the 5/5. We're not blocking. Okay, thank goodness for that. It would be nice to hit some of our removal. We do have 12 pieces of removal in the deck, but of course we are blanking on those. I mean, the miner is just getting stonewalled by the Quest Caller. We'll get in with the Cecil. Maybe they put a couple of rabbits in front of it. That would be pretty sweet. But otherwise, I think it's probably going to be flipping into the Redeemed Paladin side. And then I guess we play out the other Cecil and hope that things work. Okay, the opponent lets it go. Let's play out the Dark Knight. We may as well play out the Forsaken Miner and then see how it goes from here. I guess if they attack, I need them attacking with a couple of different things so that I can put the Dark Knight and the Redeemed Paladin in front of a couple of different things so I can gain life and lose life. I don't know how I'm going to stack it or if the game will stack it in a proper way so that I can not lose the Cecil when it flips, if it flips. I've never had two Cecils on the field at one time, so we're officially into uncharted territory. And we hit the Shoot the Sheriff. Wrong order, game. Wrong order. Okay, let's do this. And I'm just going to shoot the Mistcaller before it might... What's a Mistcaller? That's a different card, right? What is the Mistcaller? I know it's a thing. I'll look it up. I'm going to look it up right now while the opponent decides what they're going to do. Just double block, right? Yeah. Okay. I kind of think that's fine. I'm still looking up Mistcaller. I know this is riveting. Is Mistcaller just not a thing? Oh, it is. It's a blue Merfolk card. Blue Merfolk. Sacrifice Mistcaller until the end of your turn. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. That's a pretty cool card. Anyways, the Might Caller is also a cool card. And I think we are pretty boned here. The opponent with their double or triple Valley Quest Callers over there. Let's... Man, this thing's just going to plow over my Cecil. This really sucks to put a Cecil in front of a rabbit. but I think that's what we got to do. And I may as well put the color in front of the other rabbit, because I'm going to be saving 2 life. Ooh. Ooh! Alright, I don't think we were winning this one with the amount of flood that's going on here. They're going to attack in. We can block 2 things, and we lose. Hey, 9 lands. Right? 9 lands? It is what it is. That was game 5, I think. We got a couple more. Game number 6. Hopefully we get back on this winning thing. The deck was pumping really well, and then kind of ran into a little bit of bad luck, I suppose. That's the way it goes. This hand looks pretty good. We have a little bit of removal just in case the opponent is... Well, what are they going to be doing in Rakdos? Rakdos took such a hit with the lands. I think it makes playing it just a little bit hard. Hidden Grotto coming out as a way of fixing their mana woes, I suppose. And, oh, okay, we're against a reanimation deck. I think we lose hard to a reanimation deck, actually. Yeah, that's scary. But at least we can apply quite a bit of pressure with the Gas Guzzler and a Sunset Saboteur. But the opponent going first, they have an Arden in the graveyard. If they have turn 4 Zombify, we're pretty much toast, I think. But maybe they'll stumble a bit. Maybe they're just relying on the Charming Scoundrel. When it enters choose 1, they can create a token. So if they're having a treasure token, if they're having a little bit of trouble with their mana, they can figure that out. The Saboteur helping the opponent out ever so slightly with giving them a discard outlet. Okay, let's put more pressure on them. Cecil and the Saboteur, they did miss their lands. They are on 2. Kind of want them to keep being on 2. Graveyard reanimation decks, I know some people absolutely love them. Not my cup of tea. That being said, I do kind of want to try out dinosaurs, and I really wonder what dinosaurs look like now that they lost some key pieces. We have Trajectory Yahtzee over here. And we are now Gas Guzzlin'? Is this sacrifice another creature or vehicle? So we can actually do that at instant speed. That might end up being a thing now. Another creature? Sacrifice another creature. Can't sacrifice itself. So if they end up targeting something... Okay. Hey. We got flooded in the last game. The opponent got land screwed this game. Yeah. Everything is balanced. Last one. Game number 7. Currently 4-2. So we have a winning record, at the very least. That's pretty cool. I think we're getting to play first here. I clicked a little bit too quickly. And we got a cool opening hand. We get to color them for 2. So we're both starting at 18 life. How neat. And we have a pretty good follow-up with the Saboteur. I think it's fine to play out Saboteur here. The opponent on a white deck. So they could be playing white weenies. I actually haven't seen too many white decks. In fact, I haven't seen mono white control once since the new set came out. The opponent... Ooh! Exiling my stuff. That's fine, I suppose. So we could put out the color. I think it's probably fine just to put out a second Saboteur. And hope they don't have another strategic betrayal to deal with that. I really want to be hitting in with 4. Who wouldn't, right? And the opponent is on Orzhov, not on mono white. So maybe it is... I don't even know what this could be. Seam Rip, a new card. This is the first time seeing it in videos. Very nice card. When this enchantment enters, exile a permanent of 2 mana value 2 or less until it leaves the field. So the opponent discarding the Biza. And now I guess we go Dark Confidant into Dark Confidant. Yeah, let's just get the boys on the field. Bobs. What is new Bob called? Ezios. Wow. Okay. So Orzhov control. Probably a little bit nasty for us to deal with. Not a great last game to go out on, but it is what it is. Parting Gust. Everything opponent hitting us with everything. Let's go out with the Culler. Let's, you know what, let's put it on the fish. We draw land. We may as well crack the other map. Forsaken Miner, man, not great. But we're gonna put it in the graveyard because maybe it can come back if we end up finding something to target the opponent's stuff. I think I want to find a Dark Confidant off the top a lot better, or Arch Enemies Charm. Oh my god, hard to get there. The opponent really struggling with their lands. We don't have that problem over here. But now that they have the Maze Mind's Tome on the field, they can probably scry to their 4th land. They have to scry to the bottom, so they're missing lands still. Now, they maybe set a stop. Yep, opponent wisely set a stop. They were really desperately digging for that 4th land. And top or bottom? Bottom. Wow, the opponent's deck is really not agreeing with them. Did they finally find it? Technically representing lethal on the board. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my god, if this went if this went like 1 or 2 more turns, I think our chances dropped to almost 0% chance to win there. The Magic Gods coming through for games 6 and 7. Thank you. Oh, thank you for helping us out. Yeah, really fortunate that the opponent's deck just kind of flopped on them. They had enough. They had 3 points of removal. They threw away their Biza, 4 points of removal, and their draw engine. But yeah, in the end, put enough pressure on them. Cool. Let's talk about this deck in a quick wrap-up. All right, so Mono Black Aggro, I think it's functioning as it should function. I honestly don't even know what I would change in this deck. I need to see maybe what other people are doing, some people that have more familiarity with the black archetype overall. But I think everything in this deck feels super powerful, super useful. The removal suite in the deck is powerful. When you draw it, if you don't draw it, you don't draw it. But still, 12 points of removal with the flexibility of the charm is absolutely fantastic. And then the pressure that is put onto the opponent through these super powerful 1 and 2 drop cards is just fantastic. And then Dark Confidant definitely impressing me. There were a couple of games where it just stayed on the field and was drawing us a ton of cards. And I never really felt the pinch of the Dark Confidant's downside of dealing damage to us. There was the one game where the opponent ended up flinging the whatever Adamines, whatever, I'm forgetting what the card's name is, the haste dude at our face and killing us before the Dark Confidant could do it himself. But yeah, I think the current makeup of this deck is very good. The only card in the deck that I'm like really apprehensive about like recommending to people to craft is the Gas Guzzler. I think it's just a hard sell. It's a 2/1 for 1. It's not really used in a lot of other decks, whereas like, you know, Cecil is used in the Dimir and Esper ninjutsu type decks. This is an uncommon. To be perfectly honest, this deck is a little expensive when I'm looking over things. You do have a good number of uncommons, but at the same time, you do have a chunk of rares. I think the Sunset Saboteur is just kind of a good card to have. The Sinkhole Surveyor, the Dark Confidant, yeah, some of these are just a little sketchy, is what I'm kind of looking at now that I'm spitballing ideas. I imagine you could probably make this deck work with some other similar type cards. You know, like this card is mostly a 2/1 that enters tapped. It does have a slight upside with the max speed, but you know what? Like, if you wanted to go budget, the Diregraph Ghoul is pretty much as good, I would say. So if you want to go with the Mono Black Aggro type deck, I think, honestly, a lot of it comes from the Timeline Color, the Forsaken Miner, working really well with committing crimes, and just they keep coming back. Probably you can't really function without the Saboteur and the Charm. I think those are also pretty key pieces. But there's some flexibility with these. It's a little hard to say. I'm trying to justify, like, hey, you could craft this deck and it's not that expensive. And if you wanted to craft something else in lieu of another card, you could maybe do that. But these 4 cards, I think, are pretty tough crafts in the end. This one's not too bad, but going down the line, down to the Gas Guzzler, hard for me to recommend. Anyways, the deck is fun. I think you could probably climb pretty successfully with it once the ladder resets. And if you got good with it, I don't see this deck not being at least a B tier deck once the meta settles. I feel like there's something here. There's enough pressure here. And if main board graveyard hate starts becoming a thing in the best of one format, you might be in trouble. If you're a best of three player, I'm not really sure how this deck stacks up in that format. The sideboard, I'm sure there can be some things like Feed the Swarm might be a good card to put in this deck to deal with the stuff. Is that still a card? Feed the Swarm is still a legal card. I'm just spitballing at this point. Anyways, 53 minutes on this video. It's going to be about 54 by the time I'm done rambling. If you made it to this point, thank you very much. Thanks for hanging around. You must really enjoy the sound of my voice for some reason. I really appreciate that. Let me know down in the comments, even if you're just saying hello. It would be nice to hear from you. So comment, like, and hit that subscribe button if you're still not subscribed. I think most people who are watching these videos pretty much are subscribed at this point. But yeah, I really appreciate you hanging around this long. I hope you're enjoying Edge of Eternities and the rest of your week. Take care for now, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.